Well, Hurricane Irma has taken a turn, and now the coast of Florida seems to be in its path, but the entire state is still in danger. The storm has already caused damage and deaths in Puerto Rico and throughout the Caribbean over the last several days. Mark DeMaria, acting deputy director for the National Hurricane Center, joins me now. Mark, what can you tell us about where the hurricane is headed exactly?
Well, right now it's been skirting the north coast of Cuba over the past 24 hours or so, but the last couple of frames on the satellite image, what we're seeing is it looks like it's emerging off the coast, and now it's starting to make that northward turn that we've been anticipating for the past several days.
So talk to me, Mark, about that northward turn. What does that mean now?
What that means is it's really in its final approach to the Florida area. At this point, our track forecast takes it up the west coast and across the Florida Keys, so that given that we're seeing evidence of the turn, we really don't think there's any way that it's going to not hit Florida. We're going to have very significant impacts along the west coast, and because of the size of the storm, also some impacts along the east coast of Florida.
So we were waiting for this turn to take place, and you're telling us the trajectory of this. Who in the state of Florida is at most risk right now?
Well, the most immediate risk are people in the Florida Keys. The tropical storm force wind should be reaching that area as early as tonight, so that they're going to have a significant wind effects as well as storm surge effects. A little later on, starting tomorrow, Southwest Florida is in also extreme risk. It's a very vulnerable area to storm surge. We're expecting life-threatening inundation values above ground level of 10 to 15 feet. So the people in Southwest Florida, particularly from Captiva Island southward towards the Naples area, really need to heed the warnings of their officials. And in addition to that, we're expecting some re-strengthening of Irma as it approaches that area. So we expect a very significant surge effect as well as wind effect.
We know the storm surge concern is there for the Keys as well, but you mentioned also coming up and down the west coast. Are there particular cities that you think people should really be on the lookout for?
Really, most of the population areas start in the Naples area, so Naples up to Fort Myers, Sarasota, and even a little bit later on into Sunday, the Tampa, St. Petersburg area as well.
What are your big concerns right now about this hurricane, Mark?
Well, the fact that it skirted the coast of Cuba and it only weakened a little bit. The winds went down to 125 miles per hour, but it maintained the integrity of its inner core structure. And so we don't have any reason to expect that it won't re-intensify back into the Category 4 region. And that combined with the very vulnerable Southwest Florida to storm surge, again with the coastal shelf and the very high values we're anticipating in that region.
Are there any potentially hopeful signs with this, Mark? Anything that could possibly weaken the storm?
It doesn't really look like it at this point. And in fact, if we look at the satellite imagery, we'll see that if we look at the satellite imagery, where you can see that inner core area, and in fact, it looks like it's becoming more well organized again, and it's only just now emerging off the coast of Cuba. So not looking very optimistic at this point for any weakening.
And what are you looking for in the coming hours now, Mark?
Looking at making the final approach towards the Florida Keys over the next 12 hours or so, and then in the 24-hour range, making its final landfall, or its initial landfall along Southwest Florida.
Mark DeMaria, thank you for joining us. Mark, we appreciate it.
You're welcome.